Hello everybody, it's old Shazizz here. I'm out here in my mad science laboratory. I'm going to try to squeeze a whole lot of information into a really short period of time, but it's probably not going to be possible. It's probably going to be a long video, so if you get bored easy, or if you're not interested in what I'm going to say, then you might want to try to find some other video to watch. Anyway, appreciate those that stick around because it's some really good information. And it kind of opens up the world to a whole lot of thinking outside the box. Now, recently I've been told that I'm insane. All right, I don't know what electricity is. I don't know anything. Pretty much, I'm stupid, more or less. Well, while I have my memory problems and things to deal with in my own personal life, I don't think by any means that I'm stupid. If you notice my lab's looking kind of scarce back there, it's because I'm working on my larger lab, and you'll get to see that pretty soon whenever I'm done. I might be gone for a few weeks after a little bit of dental work and all that kind of stuff, but either way, that's neither here nor there. Let's just jump right into it. They pretty much, I make all the mainstream scientist guys mad, because I'm a mad science guy who wants to think outside the box, and I refuse to conform to the books that say that you have to believe this. I am the guy that was standing on the beach looking and watching as the ships went over the horizon back whenever they were told that the world was flat. And I said, well, if I'm standing on the beach and I'm watching this ship go over the hill, and then a couple weeks later it comes back up over the hill, then how could the world be flat? Well, that's heresy. You can't talk like that. I'm going to leave a link in the description box below of a video. It's just a random one that I picked for sacred geometry, and I suggest you go take a look at it, and you might understand what it is that I'm trying to point out here. Electricity isn't what everyone believes it is. It's not what we've been taught all along. And eventually I'm going to end up proving that beyond a shadow of a doubt. But in the meantime, I've lost a few friends over the deal, and they basically didn't, I guess, want to hear me out what I had to say because I wouldn't conform to what the book says. Alright, well, the books from all the way back were learning. They were theories. People learned things, and whenever things got learned, then new additions had to be made and things got changed. Anyway, what does sacred geometry have to do with electricity, you might ask? Well, it's a really good question, because in sacred geometry, it's amazing how many shapes that you can get out of one circle. There's 365 days in a year on the Gregorian calendar, I believe it is, if my memory serves me correct. And there's 360 degrees in a circle. The 360 degrees in a circle can be divided up 40 times by the number 9. It's pretty interesting. But it gets even deeper than that, and I'm going to demonstrate using this clock right here the significance of it. Alright, well, I'm also going to use some biblical references. This might make a few other people upset because, anything that has to do with biblical, people don't want to know anything about it. However, it's kind of ironic that the book does specifically point out a few things in there. First off, I'd like to say in Genesis, it talked about how God created the earth. Whoever you believe God to be, or however, whatever, that's neither here nor there, but literally in the book it was talked about that God spoke into existence all the heavens and the earth, and the light and the darkness as well. Anyway, if you look at this right here, and before I go too far, I want to say in Revelations 13:18 that it says, "Let he who hath knowledge count the number of the beast." Of course, depending on which version of the Bible that you read, it could be slightly variant as far as the way that it was actually phrased, but either way it stands the same. 6, right down here, is the number of man. According to Revelation 666 is the number of a man. If you take from if you take from 12 to 6, 6 minus, this is kind of hard to do. Let me turn around a little bit so I can see what I'm pointing at. Alright, 12 minus 6 is what? It's 6. 12 plus 6 is 18. 18 can be divided 3 times by 6. 6, 6, 6. Pretty interesting, huh? Well, 7 minus 1 is 6, 8 minus 2 is 6, 9 minus 3 is 6, 10 minus 5, or 10 minus 4 is 6, 11 minus 5 is 6, and 12 minus 6 is 6. That's pretty interesting that off of this particular clock that you can, doggone it, there's the light again. Alright, let me see if I can hold this right. Sorry about that. Anyway, try this one on for size. 12 plus 1 is 13, 11 plus 2 is 13, 10 plus 3 is 13, 9 plus 4 is 13, 8 plus 5 is 13, and 7 plus 6 is 13. You can do this backwards and forwards, upside and down. 1 plus 2 is 3, 1 plus 3 is 4, 1 plus 4 is 5, 1 plus 6 is 7, 1 plus 8 is 9, 1 plus 10 is 11, and 1 plus 11 is 12. Somebody who designed this particular clock right here pretty much had a little bit of ideas about a few things, and mathematically in a 360-degree circle you can find every single geometrical shape known in existence. All the main people out there in research out there knew things about geometry. They knew about shapes and spheres and waveforms and all that kind of stuff. If you take this 360-degree circle, you can shrink it down to the tiniest spot and you still have 360 degrees in that circle. You can raise it up to the highest spot and still have 360 degrees in that circle. You can take this 360-degree circle and you can turn it another 360 degrees all the way around, and you get 360-degree circle, perfect sphere. You can also take the same 360-degree circle and you can flip it all the way around this way in another 360 degrees and still have a same perfect 360-degree sphere. So, with that said, a lot of people out there are looking into rodent coils. They're looking into coils such as this right here. If you notice, I put this on a clock frame, and it was actually in another video. Please excuse all the dust because it's kind of set around for a while. But you can actually see that there's a lot of geometry going on in that particular coil. There's actually 2 coils in one down here. 2 would be primary coils for this particular system. But I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm stupid. I'm insane. I know that within the 360 degrees right there, that you can find every single time, date, you can find every single biblical verse, specifically talking about Revelations 13:18. If you take 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 8, what do you get? You get 13. It's all the way around there. 12 plus 1, 11 plus 2, 10 plus 3, and so on and so forth. Alright? But once again, I'm stupid. Alright, well, you know, whoever wrote the Bible was pretty doggone intelligent, or whoever put the information down there for the Bible was pretty doggone intelligent, but it seems like there's a whole lot of correlations between the Bible and actual what's going on out there. Now, if you want to calculate out the actual name and number of the beast, which is the Antichrist foretold in the Bible, you got a calculator right here. You actually got a calculator right here on your cell phone, because if you notice on your cell phone, there's only 9 different numbers that actually come across letters there. All right, some of them don't correlate with a letter. If you take the alphabet 1 through 26, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down, then you get another code that you can also calculate with. If you go look up Jewish or Christian numerology, you'll also find out another code by which you can get going on there. And anyway, also in the Bible, it also talks about if you want the truth, turn things upside down. If you take 6, 6, 6, 6, plus, or if you take 666 and 999 and you flip them upside down, you have 666 and 999. If you take 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, you end up with 45. 4 plus 5 is once again 9, a significant number. Turn 9 upside down and once again you got 6. And so even though I can't remember numbers for some reason, I can still remember this. I got it in my head. You know, turn it upside down. It doesn't matter. However you look at it, 360 degrees, you can calculate up every single geometrical shape known to man. So, like, you know, maybe 8 across to 4, up to 12, you got a triangle. 10 to it's hard to do backwards. You'll figure it out. It's common sense. Just look at it. All right, you can find every shape known to man inside there. And so, with that said, mechanically and common sense, I look at the world a whole lot different than the average Joe. Right now, we take electromagnetic or a magnetic field, and we brute force shake the electron loose from the copper atom. There's 29 electrons in copper. The one extra electron isn't coupled very well. It's not connected very well because it's kind of out of place. It's not fitting within the geometrical shape or the spherical shape of the, however you want to think of the atom being structured. Anyway, it's the oddball out. And so that's why we use copper wire, because it's easier to shake that one electron loose in order to get it to make the move from point A to point B and actually create the energy that we need, that we call electricity. Everything out there in the world has a vibrational frequency because it has protons, neutrons, and electrons to it. So everything, and if you look at an oscilloscope, when you measure the oscilloscope, you notice there's peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. It's always standard through all the oscilloscopes. All the modern day measurements that we make aren't from the actual energy exchange itself. It is from the waste energy that is incurred by the actual process of the brute force method by which we're doing it. So if you can target specific, just the atom alone, because every single thing in, just the electron alone, because every single thing in every atom in everything around you, all your coffee cup, your whatever, everything has atoms in it. Electrons, protons, and neutrons. There's energy potential in everything. But if you can target specific just the electron alone, all right, it would take away all the modern day what we know about electricity as far as measurements wise, you know, the watts, the amps, the currents, and so on and so forth, which, you know, people get pissed off whenever I tell them that I don't care about watts, currents, amps, and all that kind of stuff, because what I'm trying to do here is a whole lot different than what they're even thinking about what electricity really is. If you take and you find the exact frequency that it takes to create that that disturbance in that electron, just enough to get it to react from one atom to the next atom, and maybe possibly not even have to move. Every time an electron is disrupted and makes that exchange from one atom to the next, it releases energy. All right, that energy then creates a wave. The vibrational frequency, which is the electricity, does start from the beginning whenever you kick on your generator and you start putting things under load and running the energy down the copper, is the first wave. As it's going through, it's also picking up the energy from each individual atom on the outer layer of the copper, because the electricity doesn't travel down the center of the copper wire. It travels along the outer skin of the copper wire, where the copper is used exactly like a rail on a train track. The train track guides it around, you know. So essentially what you're doing with every single coil of wire is you're guiding that electricity where you want it to go. you're using things like resistors to either slow down the flow or other ways by which you can increase the flow. Electricity is like water. If you take a huge pipe and then you force that water down a smaller pipe, you create pressure. So the voltage, which is the portion which creates the actual pressure, is what actually is the prime mover of what we call electricity. But I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's going to take me a while to situate this to prove, but I guarantee you beyond a shadow of a doubt I will prove what I am saying. If you can take and find the exact frequency, the time at which the actual interaction between the first wave that comes through, whether it be a magnetic field or whether it be a sound frequency or whatever, a frequency wave coming through there, because all energy out there is in vibrational frequency form in its natural state. You can check out everything that nature does, and if you watch and pay attention, you'll understand exactly what it is that I'm saying. Where our brute force method is shaking the hell out of the electrons, it causes those electrons to be moving at such a rapid rate. Whenever you look at an electric motor, you'll notice that your average electric motor says 60 hertz on there. That is it's the highest that it can run at without beginning the process where it'll eventually destroy itself due to heat, because it's too high of a frequency being run through that wire. That's because at 60 hertz you got them electrons shaking like hell, and those electrons are shaking and they're creating a massive amount of energy. They're waiting in line trying to get to the next electron, because when get to the next atom, because when you shake the electron loose, it goes from this atom over and bumps this one off, goes to the next atom, and so on down the line. And there we got our current flow that everyone is talking about, the currents, watts, amps, and all that kind of stuff. And I say that you can get work out of voltage alone. People think I'm freaking nuts because the book says, I don't care what the book says. My research into plasma technology is essentially creating a tuning system by which I can literally tune the frequency coming out of that plasma to do the work that I want it to do, shoot it across the spark gap into a capacitor bank, and then we can talk about current, watts, and amps after I've built up the energy, stored it in a bank, and then now I'm kicking it over to the load, which would totally discount the whole back EMF thing, because I'm not going to be using it in the conventional sense that everyone else uses it in an electric motor. When you have an electric motor or a generator, 12-volt DC motor, and you got this motor running, as soon as you kick the load on, then you'll notice wherever your generating source is bogs down to some extent. That's because those electrons are making a return path through the entire circuit and creating a second field inside that generator, which is now acting like a brake that is clamping down on the armature and slowing it down. So, you know, they are hollering about, well, you can't get out more energy than you put in. Not trying to get out more energy than I'm put in. I'm not even trying to get 0 point or over unity. I'm trying to prove once and for all that energy is free. Energy is in every single thing out there. How we use it is the difference. Right now, like I said, we use a brute force method by taking a strong magnet or a strong magnetic field. We shake the electrons loose. We send them on down the line, we build up pressure, and so on and so forth. Your average electric motor, like I said, in some places maybe 50 hertz, in some places like here in the States it's around about 60 hertz. 60 hertz is a frequency. That's how fast the wave is coming in. Well, when that wave is coming in and it's actually shaking the hell out of the electrons, it's going to create friction, it's going to create heat, and it's going to create losses in the energy in itself. And so what I am working on at the present moment is actually creating a device that I can determine the exact moment at which the electron and the energy transfer begins, and tack that specific frequency that it takes to create the electron flow that we call electricity. And so by doing this, you wouldn't get the friction, you wouldn't get the heat, you wouldn't get the losses and all that other kind of jazz going on down the line. This video is getting pretty doggone long, so I'm going to try to try to end this on a different deal. But going down to the whole deal, the way that we use electricity, there's such an inefficient system going on right now that we waste all kinds of energy. You can take one of these right here and you can put it around any transformer, and you will find that there's a field around that transformer because there's a lot of waste energy going on because it's pumping out more energy than it actually needs to function to what it's doing. So without going into a 24-year lecture on why this is happening, the simple of it is we are literally forcing electrons down a railroad track, so to speak. That's all a coil is. It's a guidance system for the energy. It's banging around and it creates a magnetic field as it does. The more pressure you push up in there, the wider the field goes. Why have the field clear out to here when you can adjust it down, clear down to here, and not waste all that energy but still get the same amount of work done? This is why people get mad at me when I say I don't care about currents, watts, and amps, and so on and so forth. That I want the highest voltage range that I can get, and I will get all that other stuff later down the line in order to run the inefficient appliances that we've all been accustomed to. Redefining the way that people actually look at electricity is like the guy standing on the beach talking about, hey, maybe the earth ain't flat because I just watched that boat go over the horizon, and 2 weeks later it came back up over the horizon there. So could it possibly be that the earth is round? Sure, the books say one thing, and if you quote the books you're going to be right by the books. But I'm thinking outside the box, and I'm telling you, I will prove 150,000% beyond a shadow of a doubt that what we call electricity isn't nothing like what the books is saying. There's an initial vibrational frequency came about by the generation system that you did, and depending on how that generation system is designed will depend on the rate of that frequency, the length of the wave, and so on and so forth, and it will depend on what it can safely run on the opposite side. Now, getting control of that vibrational frequency, which then in turn is the carrier wave, or maybe even the first wave, that every time the energy released from each electron, which an electron is only so big, it only has so much energy. But if you take that energy like dominoes and you spit it out like this, the wave coming after that is the next wave of that energy that's being produced while you're running your generator. So if this makes me insane, and if I'm stupid and I have no idea what I'm talking about, try researching sacred geometry yourself. Try looking at the clock and figuring out how much stuff that you can find within this junky old clock. I got memory problems. Took a wound to the head. But that's all right, because I still got my mechanical portion, and I still got my common sense portion, and I still got my peace and love to the world, and I'm still going to keep on out here in my mad science laboratory. No matter how many people out there treat other people as bad as they do, I'm going to keep on being me. I'm going to keep on doing the work that I'm doing, because I'm on a mission to prove once and for all that electricity is free. If that deserves me a thumbs down, then so be it. Thumb me down. If you totally disagree with what I got, thumb me down. I will let my actions, my research, and my work, and my prototypes speak volumes at the end of the road. And so when we get down to the end of that road, then we'll decide then whether or not you were right or whether or not I was right. So with that said to everybody, peace and love from the most insane, crazy, stupid, ignorant, and I've been called worse, mad scientist in the history of time. I'm on a mission. I'm going to use my plasma to make one of the best tuning systems in the history of time. You can change the frequency with a spark gap. You can change the frequency with a variable capacitor. You can turn the volume up and down with a variable, whatever, potentiometer. So, all you're doing with electricity every time you make all your nifty gizmos out there is you're literally changing the frequency rate. At some point in time in there, you're using transistors to resist the flow. You're using resistors to reduce the flow, or you're using transistors to switch something on and something off at a specific time. So you got the guidance system going on, and you're controlling the traffic with all the other portions of the solid state deal. But do you understand from start to finish what electricity really is, and are the books that we've been taught from all these years correct? You decide, think outside the box for yourself, and no matter how many people call you insane or stupid, you just keep on doing your research. And if you got something that's outside the box and you want to talk to Shazizz, catch me up on Skype, because I don't discount any possibility after the things that I've seen personally in my own personal lab, and after the knowledge that I have researched throughout my entire life. There's something out there, and there's a whole lot more to this world than meets the eye. Catch me on Shazizz Radio on my Mad Science, and catch me on Shazizz Radio for the Knights of the Round Table, and join in on the discussion, and together we can go on that trip of discovery together. So with that said to everybody, peace and love, and take care. Sorry about the long video, but it had to be said.